Hey, welcome to the Exalted Entrepreneur Show. I'm so excited to be here today with Krystle Robinson Hershey. Welcome, Krystle, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So before we get mystical and deep, like we like to, tell us a little bit about what you do, your company, and who you serve.
So I own Sage and Elm Apothecary, and we just create beautiful plant-based products for consumers to use on their whole well-being. So all individuals love to have something great to cleanse their body with, to hydrate or moisturize with, and so we create amazing products just for that purpose. We make them all by hand from unique plants and ingredients.
I love that, and I know you're a Scorpio sun.
I am.
And I was so excited because that is, Scorpio is a sign of alchemy.
Mhm.
And what you do in making your products is definitely an alchemical process and such a creative process. And we had a chance to chat before, a little behind the scenes around the spiritual component and the healing component. So what was the story behind how you came to become a plant-based creative entrepreneur? And would you share with us a little bit about how that's been part of your own healing journey?
Yeah, so I've been making products almost 7 years. And many years ago, I found my brother overdosed on drugs and it broke my heart. And so in an effort to help myself on that healing journey, I started making products. I started making soap. Soap was how we began. And then I started taking pictures and people started asking about it. So I started off simply making soap. And as we grew, I decided that, I just wanted to go further. So we decided to do a rebrand and relaunch over a year ago. And so Sage and Elm Apothecary was birthed from there. So all of our products came from plants. All of them are made by hand in small batches. They have beautiful things like flowers shooting out of them and herbs and plants and fresh lemongrass shooting out of them. But all those things are because I want to bring that balance to the body with plants. And to take you on a journey of self-care when you're alone, or when you have time to get away from things that may stress you, or maybe you don't realize how much you need that sense of peace, to get you to come to a place that's all your own.
I love that. And you chose Sage and Elm probably for a good reason. So what are the energetics behind those two plants, and why did you feel that that was the perfect name for your rebrand?
Yeah, so sage oftentimes is used to cleanse and to promote positivity and to cleanse negativity and to bring balance. And of course the elm tree is a sign of strength and wonderful works, and it stands. And an apothecary is to use plants for medicinal purposes. When you bring them together, they embody who we are. And that's what Sage and Elm stands for. We want to cleanse, we want to take you on a journey, we want to show you how strong you are. We also want to tell you that the plants can help you do the hard work in between.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. And I love how, you are connecting into the individual unique gifts of each plant, and providing that to each person based on what they need, right? So I think that's a really powerful business model today, because people are seeking, right? Would you say people are seeking more of that custom handmade touch in a world where everything is kind of commercialized and mass produced? So can you tell us about the process of how you tune in to a person, let's say a client or a customer, and what's that process like? How do you know which plant to use for them, and how do the plants call to you? Tell us about that process, because we're all about the process here.
Yeah, so, first I start off with what I'm inspired by. Our products, first of all, we have a vast inventory of almost 100 products, and at least 60 of those are soap. And so we have cool ones called, like Puff the Magic or Elder Heal or Bottoms Up or Pluck Me. And they're all, Pluck Me is beautiful. It's made with a sea of orchids that shoot out of it. Puff the Magic is made with with dragon's blood resin and fresh hibiscus flowers all over the top of it. So I make products with those purposes of what are genuinely placed inside the product. And so people say, hey, I need something that's going to promote skin health. Maybe they have a skin abrasion or something of that effect. And so I can show them a variety of products that do just that. But I don't put all the products near each other because they do the same thing. I stretch them out. Because if you like only fruity smelling products, and I say, oh, this is the fruity section, then you're going to only smell things in the fruity section. But if I space them out and take you on a journey of things that you never thought you would love the aroma of,
I love that.
it encourages discovery, it encourages patience, you know, and taking your time. And I want people to be mindful in their life and in their experience of themselves, because you just learned something new. You learned that you like something that you didn't think you were going to like.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's just, Krystle, I have to say, that's so Scorpio, because Scorpio's opposite complementary sign is Taurus. And Taurus is very sensual. You know, when we think about Taurus, it's your comfort zone. It's like material beauty and pleasure. But Scorpio is not so different. It's just the opposite, like polar extreme of that energy. And I love this because I actually never even thought of it before, that Scorpio is a very sensual energy as well.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that it's maybe more about like going out of your comfort zone and finding beauty in something that maybe you never would have thought to look at.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. I love when I'm creating products and I take something that people find to be repulsive. Like, I'll take things like potatoes or cabbage and I'll create soap out of them, and it's like the most seductive, beautiful soap. I mean, people literally will pick it up and they'll go, what is this made from?
Yeah.
Oh, it's made from sweet potatoes. They're like, what? But I like it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's to entice the senses. That's what seduction is. It's the most beautiful thing in human form.
That's really powerful.
And so I feel that people deserve that journey. They shouldn't be ashamed of being seduced, because they're literally being seduced by a soap. You know, I have one that I make called Mother Earth, and because we've given birth to the earth, that's what we do. But I make it with mother's milk, and we partner with low-income moms. They donate their milk. And in return, they get a portion of the proceeds of each bar sold. But there's a unique aroma in that soap that cannot be beat. And people constantly pick it up and fall in love with it. They're like, what is this made of? And I go, how much do you love it? They go, oh my God, I gotta have it.
Oh my
and when I tell them what's in it, they always go,
they're
like they don't know if they're like strange now. Like, well,
yeah.
I do know. I said that's the sweetness of a milk that only a mother can make.
Oh my gosh.
And so what you're attracted to is the sugars in it. And so some people, do not be ashamed of your existence and of enjoying something that natural, because the only milk-based one that I make that's not only plant-based, but it's milk-infused and plants.
Wow.
And it's the only one I make that way.
Yeah, that is so powerful, because Scorpio rules over the taboo subjects.
Yeah.
And you know, breast milk and breastfeeding, those are things that like, they're so natural, and yet things that can make people feel uncomfortable because they're just not spoken about, and they kind of have these associations and things. But I love that you are kind of challenging people's comfort zone. That's like total Scorpio thing to do. So that's a gift, because, you know, well, what do you think, what do you feel like the gift in that is for your people, other than expanding them and like helping them find beauty in other places? Do you think that that's also like an internal thing for them?
Absolutely. I think it also takes them on a journey of wellness and healing in a variety of areas.
Yeah.
If a mother's milk can literally feed and sustain life of a newborn child that's never eaten a bite of food necessarily, what can it do for your well-being when you place it on your skin? There's nourishment in that. But I feel that way about everything that we create, whether it's our variety of oils, that I create some from Eastern spices, I create some from citrus, and everything that we create, down to our clay mask. I do it all, you know, from passion, and I want you to just feel like you're a work of art when you experience it, because you are, and you're worth it, you know?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's such a big part of it as well, that worthiness piece. So this kind of naturally leads into, like, we're both moms. I know you're a mom of 5.
Yeah.
I'm a mom of 2. And, you know, how has being a mom, do you feel, how does that play out as being a mother in business? How do you handle, you know, all those responsibilities and also stay so creative and in such a state of creative trust and experimentation and passion when you have also so many just practical responsibilities?
Schedule. I prioritize life down to the T.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had to decide at one point with my youngest that, you know, it's time for you to go and be able to experience other little people outside of here.
Right.
And so a lot of moms feel guilty about putting their kids in childcare. I do not. Because if we're going to be honest about me being a professional and being able to really prioritize my time well and have great time management, that means I have to do that while allowing you to learn and grow, you know, in your own space with your own little mini co-workers too, because that's essentially what children develop, are their own little co-workers. They have people they like, people they don't, you know, they share some toys.
Yeah.
It's cute. But as a mom, I find that time management is key. And that you have to own your space. And if you can manage and develop and shape young minds in your home, then you can do just about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you let them kind of get involved in the process and experiment with the herbs and things like that, because they probably love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We go harvesting together.
Oh, that's
I have some really beautiful sacred spaces that allow me to come and forage and harvest. We grow together. They also help me package at times and fill. So they've been up to shows with me. So it's really exciting because I want them to always know that the sky is a limit and you can create something beautiful.
Yeah.
And so we create together, actually.
That's beautiful. And I love how you said own your space.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, for me, one of the biggest lessons being a mom and an entrepreneur and really starting my business at the same time as becoming a mom, you know, I definitely had that kind of that difficulty with boundaries with my own children and with honoring my own space. So I'm going to take, that's going to be a new mantra for me. I really like that because they're their own beings too, you know, and we don't have to be the only caretaker and the only provider, and that's unrealistic. And so I love how you just own that and just were really clear about it from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to me that I don't reflect or deflect all of my needs to fulfill something greater onto my children.
Yes.
Pouring all of my, you know, hovering and helicopter momming it. No. I had to place that beautiful sense of ownership and of guidance onto other things, and that's where my business comes in. So I'm constantly pouring. These children will grow up one day. They'll have their own lives. I do what I do for others and for myself. And so it's important for everybody to have their own identity and still love and care for each other, and so you don't have to feel guilty about that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And where did you learn how to create these products, and do you have any tips for others out there who are maybe considering starting their own product-based business? Because that's like a whole different thing than, let's say, like coaching or doing something that is more service-based. Do you have any tips for how to do that and where you kind of learned the tricks of the trade?
You know, when I was a little girl, my great-grandmother used to make all kind of beautiful products, and she would grow kabuki mushrooms in her house under her kitchen cabinet. And when we would come and visit, my aunt would be like, "Shh, they're sleeping, and don't wake them up because they have a heartbeat too, and they'll know that you're here."
Oh,
and so she would scare us with these mushrooms that were huge.
Right.
My grandmother would grow them in bowls and buckets, and she'd cover them, and she treated them like babies.
Yeah, and there's something really there is something kind of mystical and magical about mushrooms.
Yes.
I think everybody can agree with that.
Yes, and if you peeped at them, like they really did move a little bit. It was hilarious, but it was true. I have so much respect for that. And so she taught me to create things.
Wow.
And I've had a chance to just be honored and brought in by other tribes and groups of people who taught me so many things about plants and herbs around the world and practices.
That's beautiful.
So I would encourage people to take their time, do their homework, and look into what the market needs and how can you uniquely work that with your product. You know, create something unique, have a high quality product, and keep it in front of people, you know?
Yeah.
Think about the bread aisle. There's a million different types of bread.
Yeah.
What's your flavor?
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
And what I was so excited about with your services is that this is, you know, we need things like this right now because plastic is on its way out. And you know, my listeners know that I'm so passionate about sustainability and making choices that are not just for ourselves but for our planet. And so you create shampoo that is like bar soap, right?
Yeah,
and I was just so excited because I was looking for that. I'm like, let me eliminate, you know, we got rid of the dish soap, but I just wanted to ask, you know, what's your take on that, and, you know, how do you feel that being part of this movement, right, and being part of kind of, I think, just a solution and a change in returning to more natural, sustainable ways of not just selling things, but also creating them and delivering them. You know, do you have any any feelings around that you want to share with us?
I do. The cool thing about our soap is I make one facial cleansing bar, and I can make it in 2 varieties. And then the rest of them you can wash your hair and body. So you have dual purposes for everything that we create, and that's important to me. I never want people to feel like they have to have 25 different products to do one thing,
Right.
or 20 steps to one process. Who has time for that realistically? And so for me, I used to get a lot of pushback on my lack of packaging because it wasn't the norm in the industry.
Yeah.
But in order to give people this raw, natural product, I didn't want to increase cost and packaging for the consumer to go home to rip it off, to throw it in the trash,
Yeah.
and then it's in our water. It's in our landfills. It was completely unnecessary, and nobody even questioned why.
Right.
And so I want to encourage people to consider their carbon footprint and to rethink packaging, because it's not as necessary. You know, in other parts of the world, it's an open air market, and you touch and
Right.
experience and feel these things. But we become conditioned to think that an open air market isn't the norm, and really we had it wrong.
Right.
You know? So it's
Yeah.
encouraging people to consider that.
I love that. I love that so much. And I love how by purchasing products from you,
Mhm.
you know, people are getting the customization, they're getting the Scorpio magic and intention
Yeah.
of, you know, that it's not just another product, it's with their spiritual, energetic, and physical needs in mind. And also then it's supporting a more local business who is part of the solution, not part of the problem. So it's a win-win-win.
Yay! Yay!
And so, Krystle, tell us, like, how can we connect with you? You know, where can people find your products? I know that you do local markets, but let's say we're in other areas.
Sure.
Can we still benefit from your services, and how can they find you?
Sure. Well, you can always go to my website, which is www.sageandelmapothecary.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram, Sage and Elm Apothecary. And you can even find me on Facebook, Human Hair and Body Connection. It's easy to connect with me,
Yeah.
whether we do it online, virtually, or in person. We travel and I do shows all over. So it's always a pleasure to
Thank
meet
you.
with people.
Thank you so much for being here. It was a real pleasure. I can't wait to try out that Puff the Magic Dragon.
Puff the Magic is beautiful.
Yeah, Puff the Magic.
Yeah.
And thank you everybody for tuning in. Definitely check out Krystle's amazing creations. Her energy and spirit are so beautiful. Go out there and get yourself some of that amazingness in your life.
Thank you.
you.
Oh, thank you for having me.